What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Our Streamers Cheaters. Today we have got one hell of a clip for you guys to see, and yes, it is of Zlaner yet again. We are going right back down that rabbit hole because we've found simple things that can easily be pointed out and allow you to understand exactly how Zlaner is using Aimbot. In today's video we have got a perfect example of how Aimbot looks when it locks onto somebody, and we are going to compare that to some real-time footage of Zlaner whilst playing ranked. So let's crack on with the video. Before we get started, I want to say a big shout out to Anarchy Order, and I'm going to link their video in the description below, but they've posted a clip that shows Zlaner locking onto an enemy through a door, and we're going to get into that and explain it now. So in this video, what you are seeing is the red dot locking onto a location. We don't even need to see the fact that there's an enemy in there. The fact that Zlaner himself is aiming at that door whilst the storm is pushing in the way it is, we know there is an enemy in there, right? And based on that, watch how the crosshair locks on to a certain location in a very unnatural manner. So when he aims down sight, imagine he's got a foot pedal to toggle on his aimbot. He's aimed down sight a little bit to the right of whatever enemy is stuck behind the door, and then he hits the pedal, and then that aim locks on. Now the thing with this situation that stands out compared to Zlaner's usual gameplay is the fact that he is stood still. He stood still, aiming at a location, holding an enemy out. Now this is the exact reason I believe that we are able to see that small adjustment on his red dot, on his reticle, on his crosshair, whatever you want to call it. The reason I think this is because usually in every standard gameplay you would see from Zlaner, he's running around strafing left and right, jumping up and down, right? Now that could all mask a very small adjustment like what we've seen here, right? Now picture this, you have aimbot set to a foot pedal, but it's fine-tuned so any adjustment isn't really noticeable at distance. Or if you jump up in the air and it locks on, it's not noticeable. Or if you're strafing left and right, you can claim it to be rotational aim assist. What would that look like? The way that locks on to a different location of the door tells me there's an enemy behind that door, which makes it very strange. I actually had a little think about this. How many different times can we spot in Zlaner's normal gameplay whilst he's strafing left and right, jumping up and down, running around the map, spinning around? How many times can we notice these adjustments happening? So I went onto his most recent video and decided to take a look. And honestly, there was so many moments where you can slow it down to 0.25 on his own YouTube channel and see these adjustments happening. Now again, Anarchy Order actually put one of these moments in his video to demonstrate what it looks like in real time. However, in this one I'd say Zlaner is a little bit more still than he usually would be, but again, pay attention to the red dot. Yeah, so in this moment you see the red dot lock now, and it locks and sticks to the exact same location that it always has, center chest in this moment, right? Almost like he's reverted back to the Warzone cheats he was using, but just fine-tune them a little bit more. But even that one locks on, right? So he's gone from aiming down sight at one enemy and it locking onto the exact location, pixel perfect, to then going to the enemy coming in, gliding in from above him, and it locks onto the same location, pixel perfect. And this is something that I believe we could spot 100 times over in at least every stream. If he's doing an 8-hour stream, we can see these adjustments happening with the reticle or crosshair, but you've got to be able to notice them in real time whilst he's moving around. So as I've said, I went over to his channel to see what videos we could look at. I found the first one, which is 29 kills in ranked play, and this is whilst he's playing in top 250 lobbies, right? And I was able to find a very good example of his crosshair locking on to enemies in the manner we've seen that crosshair adjust on the door in the clip from Anarchy Order. So take a look at these clips in real time.
On our roof to the left, oh, 20, dead.
Knocked one, dead.
I need a smoke and a medic.
I knocked that guy that shot you. I knocked.
So did you guys notice that? The way he aims down sight, it's never bang on. He never aims down sight onto the enemies. His aim is always either to the left or right of an enemy, but as he aims down sight, it pulls towards that exact location of an enemy, which at the moment appears to be center chest. And yes, we know he went through a phase of locking onto legs and arms, but right now he's gone back to center chest, and I believe it's very apparent in that clip. But just so you guys can see this happening, I've decided to slow the clip down for you now. Take a look.
On our roof to the left, oh, 20. Dead.
Knocked one, dead.
I need a smoking a medic.
I knocked that guy that shot you. I knocked. Knocked one, dead. I knocked that guy that shot you.
So in that clip you can clearly see as he aims down sight at the first guy jumping out the window, his aim's to the right, but as soon as he aims down sight it snaps to the left onto the location of center chest. Then he moves over to the two guys who are opposite, and there's actually a moment where he walks into the building and strafes to the left, and it's like a small lock through the wall, and then he strafes out to the right and starts shooting at one guy, but his aim again is not on target until he ADS's and his crosshair moves to the guy on the left. But the instant that guy dies, it snaps right over to the guy on the right. Slowing that down and zooming in, you can clearly see that happening. So we're going to break this down now properly in real time. So what we've got here is the moment of the first guy jumping out the window. He aims down sight to the right of the enemy as the enemy's jumping out the window, and then his aim snaps to the left very unnaturally. It almost goes left and up slightly and locks onto what can only be deemed as the center chest or center mass of the enemy. Once this guy dies, this is probably something that nobody would really notice, but pay attention to the original clip we're talking about today, where he's locking on through a door. Now, there are certain parts of buildings that you can shoot through, wall bangable moments, right? These happen all the time, which means that Aimbot can work through those parts of the map as well. So pay attention now as he turns to the left and goes in this. We're going to see him move slightly to the left, but what you will see is like a lock-on effect. You will see something jitter slightly, and that is his aim locking on. Now, people can use Aimbot to determine where enemies are, especially if they've got it fine-tuned. You little tap on the pedal, and what that will do is lock onto an enemy through the wall or building or door or whatever, and this will cause you to end up knowing the location of an enemy. But if you are toggling Aimbot on with a foot pedal, then that will literally be a case of tap it and release, tap it and release. That way you've got the location, then you can strafe out without being locked on through the wall, and that's what I think happens here. So pay attention. Moves to the left and lock. That was the lock then, right? So pay attention again. Did you see the motion? That was like the camera locking to a location. Again, we'll watch it again. There it is. There. And honestly, that is exactly where those enemies are, through that wall directly in front of him, where that lock has just happened. Now what happens here, you have to remember, he's strafing left and right. He's doing his usual movements here, so it makes it very hard to actually see compared to when he was stood still aiming at that door. But watch now, as he jumps out, he's not on target. He aims down sight here and then bang, center chest. But as soon as he kills this guy here, straight over, it was a direct transfer from one to the other, perfectly to the same location, center mass on the enemies, right? So every single one of those moments, he wasn't aimed down sight on target, but for some reason, his aim snaps to the same location on all enemies after seeing what looks like a lock through the wall as he's moving into the building. And you have to remember, you don't have to be aimed down sight for Aimbot to work. So the question is, how many times has Zlaner been locking onto people in this manner throughout Warzone 2? How many times has he done this and tried to mask it by bunny hopping or sliding or, I don't know, weapon swapping as he's running around? You have to remember, these guys move around at a very fast pace, so whilst they're moving around in the manner they do, you will not be able to see the very fine-tuned aimbot locking on the way it does unless you really focus and zoom in and slow down as we do on this channel. We've seen it very clearly when he's aiming down sight at that door and he stood still, and the aim locks in a manner that is just not natural. Well, the fact that lock is not natural at all. So how many times has Zlaner done this? How many times can we go back on his videos that he's uploaded to YouTube and find these moments? Well, like I said, I've gone back down the rabbit hole on Zlaner, and we will start to expose every last moment that this happens. Let me know what you guys think about Zlaner clearly locking onto people whilst playing ranked play on Warzone 2 in the comments below. And if you did enjoy today's video, guys, feel free to smash that thumbs up on your way out. Let's try and get this one to 1,000 likes. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our future uploads. And if you guys want to contact me about a streamer who you believe is cheating, you can hit me up over on Twitter at BadBoy Beaman. And one last thing before we go. A big shout out to apexpcs.co.uk for sending me out this amazing gaming rig. And if you guys want to get your hands on a PC like this, head over to apexpcs.co.uk. If you want to buy a pre-built gaming rig, then head over. They have got so many options. But not just that, they sell individual components. If you need a new case, a new CPU, a new GPU, or even a monitor, keyboard and mouse, head over and check it out. And guys, for those of you who are business minded, for those of you who don't just play video games, they also sell business office PC builds too. And for those of you who are quite picky like me, you can send a custom build request and they do get back to you really quick. So guys, if you're in the market for a new PC, this is the place to be. apexpcs.co.uk. The link is in the description below. And don't forget, use code BBB20 at checkout to save £20.